So, Kirsten, thanks for giving some comments, giving a bit of time
Pleasure.
right now. Uh, I've got a couple of questions on this conference, about the history or the nature of the conference and the society. So I wonder if you could give your perspective on this. So the first one is, what would you say is unique or particular about this conference out of all of the ones that are around the world? Are there some flavours or some values or particularities that you say, oh yeah, that's what makes this one slightly different? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, well, I think one of the things that makes me particularly excited about this conference is, whilst there are lots of conferences on Lewis in the US in particular, some in Canada, a fair number, an increasing number in the UK, what seldom happens at those conferences is a true intermingling of international voices. We have a lot of representation from North America, a lot of representation from the UK, from Ireland, and increasingly from Ireland, which is really good because there hasn't been enough voices, I would argue, in the past from Ireland, but we still missed voices from the non-Anglo world. And even the Anglo world further afield, be it Australasia, Anglos from South Africa. And this conference, is hosted by the C.S. Lewis Society of C.S. Oh, no.
Yeah, C.S. Lewis and Kindred Spirits.
The C.S. Lewis and Kindred Spirit Society of Central and Eastern Europe. And because of even the focus in the title, but then also where it is located, the particularity of the location means that voices are invited from all over the continent and further afield. We have voices from almost every continent, which is really exciting. We have Spanish voices, we have a variety of African voices, there are different Asian voices, as well as a multiplicity of lingual and cultural backgrounds, which means when we gather together to talk about Lewis and kindreds, we're getting different lenses. In the same way that when one studies scripture with a friend from a different culture, all of a sudden you realize, oh, I thought everybody understood this passage in this way. But if you're from an honor culture or you're from a land-focused culture, you're going to understand this passage in a different way. And that's really important for us to hear and see. Lewis scholarship has really needed additional voices, not just Anglo voices. And this conference invites that and embodies that in really beautiful ways, which means Anglo academic work on MacDonald is richer for it. On George MacDonald is richer for it. Even more so, academic work on C.S. Lewis is richer for it, as well as vice versa. And maybe my little slip there, called saying MacDonald instead of Lewis, is a really lovely segue to the other, I think, really important, unique thing about this conference. This is C.S. Lewis and Kindred Spirits. And so the conference doesn't just dive into Lewis himself and go deeper and deeper and deeper, which has some importance to it. There's richness to that. But Lewis himself is always calling us to remember the context of things, the situation of things, the family, the art and culture of things. And this conference, by focusing on Lewis and kindred spirits, reminds us of the voices with whom Lewis is in conversation throughout his work. Which helps us understand why his work is as efficacious and as rich as it is, because Lewis is not a solitary person. It would be horrified if we were talking about him without talking about him in relation to others. And that means peers in his lifetime, as well as those who came before him, like George MacDonald and Chesterton and Shakespeare and Chaucer, but then also those afterwards who are influenced by Lewis, but also by his influencers, and who are in conversation around the same things, be that Madeline L'Engle or Andrew Peterson, or so many, Susanna Clark, so many voices that are intentionally participating in the same conversation. And again, I think Lewis scholarship is so much richer for listening to the company that he chooses, the company that he keeps.
This particular conference, we've got a number of artists participating, and a number of the people who are presenting papers are doing it in a creative way, or they're doing it particularly about the nature of creativity and art. So that makes this edition slightly different. Is this a good thing? Should we be doing this? Should we be pursuing the arts within a conference like this? What's your perspective on that?
I think we would be betraying the legacy of C.S. Lewis and kindred spirits if we were not intentionally integrating the arts and academia. Both Lewis and Tolkien are constantly calling us back to the foundation of the tradition of the academy. I look out the window at the academy here, where arts and theology and literature were never separated. They should be united and be a holistic, not even in conversation with each other. They should be inextricable from one another. That is the world that they call us back to. I think that's one of the reasons that so many of us find their art, their writing, so appealing, attractive, and easy to understand and dive into, and we are changed by their work because they're calling us back to that world in which theology and literature and story and music and art were never separated and never meant to be, which is what indeed scripture does, right? It is a holistic way of experiencing the world. And the fact that this is done at the conference in Yash is not only really important, but as I say, is completely true to the heart of Lewis and Tolkien and MacDonald and Longueuil. And again, the anticipators, Shakespeare, Chaucer, Dante, and the inheritors since. And I think one of the biggest problems with the Academy today, one of the biggest dangers and sicknesses of the Academy, is that we have separated those things and we're not in conversation with one another. And Lewis and Tolkien, Chesterton, they're all constantly calling us back. And if we don't return to that conversation, we'll never truly understand what they're doing, why they're doing it, nor why is it so powerful. There are a few other conferences around the world that are attempting to do this again, reconnecting, reintegrating the Academy with the arts. Many of the MacDonald conferences do that, and there are a couple other Lewis's conferences that are doing that. But the fullness of how this is happening here in Yash is so beautiful, and also teaching us so much more. Our academic writing will be so much richer, so much more perceptive, and so much more transformative because with the intentional engagement with the arts.
Great, thank you. Thank you.